Let's go ahead and jump right into the word this morning. Thank you, Lady Taryn, for worship this morning also and for pushing. If you have your Bibles, you can turn to let's see, 1 Kings chapter 17. And you can go ahead and put the title up. This should come as no surprise. I think it's in there. In 1 Kings chapter 17, this is, can anybody tell me what we've been talking about? I made it easy for you. Praise God, we got some people that can read this morning. Like uncomfortable. Somebody say uncomfortable. Uncomfortable. This morning we're going to be talking about uncomfortable. At least it's going to be under the uncomfortable series. How you doing this morning? Good to see you. This is under the uncomfortable series, but we're just going to dig a little bit deeper into what we've already been talking about. Once y'all got things set over there, y'all can come on over because I want to look all y'all in the face this morning. I want to look everybody in the eyes when I talk to you this morning because I got some stuff that I believe that God wants to share with us this morning. Let me preface it by saying this. Sometimes we get discouraged because I think sometimes the ways that God wants to challenge us or produce things in us or pull out the best in us, sometimes it doesn't look like, sound like, smell like, feel like he's producing anything in us. You know, sometimes we feel like, all right, God, why did you allow this to happen? I feel like I'm taking a step backwards because a lot of times we don't understand what God is cultivating in us. We don't always know the big picture of everything. And so when something negative, when something seemingly bad happens, we automatically chalk it up as a loss, as something bad, instead of seeing it as, okay, God, what is it that you're trying to do in me? What are you trying to pull out of me? So oftentimes we'll get discouraged before we realize the big picture of what God is trying to do in us. But I just want to encourage us today, this morning. And I was praying on the way over here, and God just gave me a peace about it, about sharing. I don't share things vaguely. Even when I speak or pray over us, I try my best not to say things that just sound good or even words that I don't understand. It's always coming from a place that either God has shown me this about you or he's given me a peace about releasing it. And he gave me peace this morning as I was praying to let you know this morning, I have you where I want you. I have you where I want you. It feels discouraging. It feels bad. It hurts sometimes because you feel like, all right, God, like, I know you're sovereign, right? You have rule and reign over everything. A sovereign God is the one that created the game, and now I can choose to move everything exactly where I need to move it in order for me to get the most glory out of it, right? I trust that you're sovereign. But right now, how my situation looks, it don't look like you know what you're doing right now. Are y'all going to be honest with me this morning, or y'all going to play? Like, I mean, you have these conversations with God like, all right, God, what's up? Like, I have faith. I trust you and I believe you. But right now, this is one of them things that's about to tip my scale. You know what I'm saying? Like, this is one of those things that's about to have me in my prayer closet like, all right, God, right now my faith is being challenged. Right now, everything that I know to be true about you is looking like it's not true. And right now, I'm almost second guessing whether you're real because right now what I'm going through doesn't show any signs or any fruit of you being real, of you being just, of you being faithful, right? Because everything that is happening, not everything, some of the things that are happening sometimes it points to God being unfaithful, untruthful. All right, God, I know the truth, but the facts aren't lining up with the truth right now, right? The truth is that I'm blessed beyond measure. The truth is I'm the head and not the tail. The truth is I'm in perfect health. But the facts are, all right, the doctor said. The facts are, all right, I don't have enough this week. The facts are I'm going to have to sacrifice something or else some other area is going to go lacking, right? Sometimes the facts don't match up with the truth, right? And in those cases, sometimes we become discouraged. But I found some stuff in 1 Kings chapter 17. That's where we've been already. Anyway, we've been talking about Elijah. God called him out of the land of famine and had them go be fed by birds, drink water. That's uncomfortable. Right when he gets comfortable being uncomfortable, then God says, okay, now I need you to go to Zarephath because there's a lady that I set up there to take care of you. Again, it's uncomfortable. He doesn't know this lady. So this is where we're going to start in chapter 17, verse 8. Then the Lord came to him saying, arise, go to Zarephath, which belongs to Sidon, and dwell there. See, I have commanded a widow there to provide for you. So he rose and went to Zarephath and went and came to the gate of the city. Indeed, a widow was there gathering sticks. He called to her and said, please bring me a little water in a cup that I may drink. And as she was going to get it, called to her and said, please bring me a morsel of bread. I talked about this last week or the week before. Stuff like this, y'all, when y'all study the Bible or even when y'all just reading, y'all can't skip over stuff like this. Like when y'all read, y'all got to dissect this thing like, wait a minute. He asked her to go get some water. I said this already. He asked her to go get some water, and as she went, meaning, I'm okay with getting you some water. But then he said, okay, well, now that you're going to get me some water, can you get me some bread also, right? So he asked him for bread also, and then she says, well, wait a minute. Wait a minute. I was okay when you just asked me to get water, but now you're asking me for something I don't have. Y'all follow me on this? Some of y'all think y'all know where I'm going. Follow me on this. He's asking me for something I don't have. I have water. I'm okay with giving that. But now that you're asking me for something that I think that I don't have, now I'm like, okay, sir, this is what it says. So she said, as the Lord your God lives, I do not have bread. What did she say? I do not have what? Bread. She said bread. I do not have what? Bread. She had water, right? Because she was going to get water. So she had water, but she said, I do not have bread, only a handful of flour in a bin and a little oil in a jar. And see, I'm gathering a couple sticks that I may go and prepare it for myself, and me and my son may eat it and die. So what do y'all think that she's about to make with flour and oil? One person said it. Yeah, I think she's about to make with flour and oil. She's about to create the thing that she just said she doesn't have. Sometimes we get discouraged because we're like, God, how is it that you're asking of me something that I do not possess? How are you asking of me something I don't have? How are you asking me to do something that I don't have the power to do? Why is it that you're calling me to something that I've not been gifted to do? Why is it that you've assigned me to an area that I don't have the capacity to fulfill? Right? These are questions that we may not always ask God, but sometimes we're thinking in our minds, it's like, God, what are you up there doing? Because obviously you don't know what you're doing because you got me in this situation and you promised me bread. You promised me bread. God, you made me a promise. And you told me this is what it's going to look like. But what I'm dealing with right now don't look like what you promised me. You can imagine him sitting back just like, I gave you flour. I gave you a pot of oil. And she said, I have nothing except. God is coming for your accept. That's what he's looking for. For you, sometimes, because sometimes it feels like, all right, God, I got nothing left. What do you want from me? Right? But it's like, all right, God, I don't have nothing else to give you. Except. This is all I got. God, and if you can't do nothing with this, God, I don't know what I'm going to do. Because me and my son, we already made it up in our minds. This is the little bit that we have left, and we're just going to eat this and die. We're just going to eat this and roll over. I don't know. Maybe I'm preaching to the choir, or maybe there's nobody in here that's ever dealt with this, but maybe it's just me, so I'll just talk to myself in the mirror and just act like maybe y'all can relate. But you ever felt like, all right, God, I'm done. I'm over it. Maybe not, I've dealt with it, but maybe not you, to the point of having suicidal thoughts. But let's not go that far. Let's just say, you know what, God, you gave me an assignment to work on, and I'm over it. I'm done dealing with these people. I'm done, putting in my numbers. I'm done having to meet this deadline and don't nobody appreciate it. I'm tired of working my butt off and nobody saying thank you. I'm done with it. I'm over it, right? When you get to that point where you want to give up, where you want to throw in the towel, where you want to be over your situation, but then saying, all right, that's it. That's all I got. I'm going to go in this one more time. I'm going to give it this last ditch effort, right? This is all I have. And trusting that God can take just that little bit that you had in the corner. Because sometimes, guess what? If you had more than enough, you would never notice the accept. You would never notice, all right, God, this out. If you had more than enough, but sometimes he allows. That's a tough word. Sometimes he permits certain things to happen to bring you to a point where you say, you know what, God, that's all I got. This is all I got. Because then you'll be forced to trust him with the not enough, right? You ever been in a situation, again, maybe this is just me, but you ever been in a situation where you're like, all right, God, I don't got enough money for these bills this week. Y'all better talk to me, man. Don't try to act like y'all always had, hey, I know. All right, this week, this is how much money we got in the account. This is how much this bill needs this week. Something ain't lining up. I'm not a mathematician, but like this is not this is not balancing out. What are we gonna do? So I don't have enough for the bill. But instead of you looking at what you do have and saying, all right, God, this is all I have, what can you do with this? Sometimes what we'll do is we'll say, all right, well, I don't have enough anyway, so let me just go buy some shoes. I don't have enough anyway, so I might as well just go out and we might as well just go out to eat and just live it up. Just like this is what the lady said. This is what she said. She said, we have nothing except. And so I already made in mind what I want to do with the little bit that I have. We've already set our minds on what we're going to do with this. And me and my son, we plan to eat the rest, what we have left over, and we're just going to roll over and die. We're going to give up because this is all we have. That's what they said. So it's similar to us saying, this is all I have. I don't have enough. So let's just go out to eat. Let's just have a big last supper and just eat and then just roll over and just say, all right, God, you didn't come through on this one. Instead of saying, okay, God, this is what I have. I'm about to say, y'all, I don't know if y'all ready for this. I don't know if y'all ready. Yeah, you saying go ahead, Pastor, but I don't know about this one, Miss Marjorie. I don't know if y'all ready for this one. You don't have enough already. You already don't have enough. So instead of eating your seed, why not plant it? Y'all better talk to me like y'all understand this. You already don't have enough. So what can I do to multiply what I have? Because what I have is not enough. But if I plant it, if I put it in the ground, it'll produce a harvest. But guess what? A harvest might not come this week. A harvest might not come next week. Harvest might not be on time, right? If you're a farmer and you put some stuff in the ground and you say, bet it's going to come up on April the 21st. Might show up on the 18th. Might show up on the 30th, right? You don't know. All I know is that I got a seed in the ground and it's going to produce more than what I put in the ground. So what can I do with this little bit? And what this lady did, essentially, he said, he came back in the verses to follow. He said in verse 14, for thus says the Lord, God of Israel, the bin of flour shall not be used up, nor shall the jar of oil run dry until the day of the Lord sends rain on the earth. So she went away and did according to the word of Elijah, and she and he and her household ate for many days. He asked her, hey, make me some first. Don't it sound so selfish? He comes to her, she's in need, but then he says, okay, go and do what you were about to do, but make me some first. All right, sir, hold on. That doesn't make natural sense. I just told you I have food enough for me and my son to last one night. But then you're telling me, give it to me first, right? A lot of times we feel like God is bullying us. If we be honest, sometimes we feel like God is bullying us because it's like, God, I feel like I'm giving you all that I have. Why am I still in this situation? Why do I still have to go through this? God, I feel like I'm sacrificing. I've been faithful. I'm committed. I'm praying. I'm doing everything I know to do, and still you're asking more. Still you're asking more. I didn't give you enough last week. I feel like I've given you all that I can give, and you're still asking me for more. And essentially what he's saying is, in my hands, this has more value than it is in your hands. In my hands, I can multiply this thing, but until you actually commit it to me, it's just going to be what you have. It's going to be what it's worth in your hands in that moment. But until you say, you know what, God, this is all I have. I can't do anything with it. It's not enough. I'm going to give it to you. God, you take it. Because what we try to do is when we feel like we're left with nothing or almost nothing, it's like, let me just hold on to this little bit I have, because this is the only bit of sanity I have. This is the only thing that I have that I can rely on. This is the only thing right now that's stable. This is the only thing right now that's comfortable. So let me just, even though it's only $1, let me hold on to this last dollar. And then somebody say, hey, can you spot me $1? This is the only dollar I got. Like, I can't give you my last. Let me just hold on to the last thing that I have, instead of saying, you know what, God, this is all I got. I'm going to just have to give it to you and trust you with it, because it's already not enough. So God, I trust you. If you say you want to give me an assignment to do something that I don't feel like I have the energy, capacity, gifting, talent for, this is way beyond me, I trust you. If you're doing something in my life and you're allowing a lot of stuff that feels like, all right, God, I feel like I can't trust you right now, God. Because every time I try to trust you, you end up doing something that just throws me a curveball. That's real. You end up throwing me a curveball. So I feel like because the people that we trust are the people that are reliable. They're consistent. They're faithful. I know what I'm going to get. If I come to Miss Margie, I already know what I'm going to get, right? If I come to DJ, I know what I'm going to get. If I go to Courtney, I know what I'm going to get. So I can trust you, because no matter how I come at you, I know kind of ballpark what your response might be. I can trust you. I can trust your consistency. I can trust your track record. But with God, it's like, all right, God, can I really, really trust you? Because it seems like almost every season in my life, you're doing something totally different. It seems like sometimes you want to shake me up. Sometimes you want to give me peace. Sometimes you want to make me uncomfortable. Sometimes you want to wrap your arms around me and say, hey, I love you. It's okay. Other times I feel like you're nowhere near. It seems like he's just so unpredictable. Sometimes it's like, all right, God, I don't know if I can trust you. But this is what Paul said. Of these idols, the God of the sun, the God of the moon, the God of the earth. They're walking around worshiping all these idols. And there's one idol in the middle in the book of Acts. There's one idol in the middle, and they're worshiping the unknown God. There's like, this one we can't quite put our hands on. I know what these other idols do, but this one I don't quite understand. Sometimes it's easier for us to just put our attention, I won't quite say worship or idolize, because that might mess y'all up. It's easier for us to give our devotion to other things that we understand. All right. God, I can't quite trust you with my money, so let me just go and get some stocks and bonds and investments and put it in those things, because those are things that I can trust, right? But let me not sow it. Let me not give my tithe. Let me not give my offering, right? Because I can't trust church. I can't trust pastors. I don't know what they're doing with that money over there. They just go and use it. I can't trust that, but let me go put it in something I can trust, right? It's much easier because it makes natural sense. But what Paul said is, this is the God that y'all don't know about, but this is the God I'm about to educate y'all about. The reason y'all don't know about him is because you haven't taken time to get to know him. The reason you don't know about him is because you're going by what you can see, and you can trust the things that you can put your hand on, but this one you can't put your hand on. That's why it's hard for you to trust the unknown God. But what I'm challenging you to do today is even when you don't feel, even when you don't see, even when it's not, I can't quite put my hands on that thing, to still be able to trust. But where we get tripped up is sometimes, and this is real, sometimes we feel or we'll question our faith in God because it doesn't come with a feeling. I'm going to try to explain this if I can. Some of y'all might have caught it, but I'm going to try to explain it. Some of us don't think, we're just like, yeah, like I believe in God, but I just don't know if my faith is all the way there, because you've equated your faith to a feeling. You always feel like, okay, if I believe in God, then I'm going to have this, I'm going to feel like a lion. I'm going to feel like, I could do it today. But that's not always faith, because sometimes faith is without a feeling, right? Because faith is movement. I'm saying something right here, y'all. Faith is movement. If you're stagnant, that's not faith. You can have a feeling and be stagnant. I feel like a warrior. I feel like I'm ready to go after it. Yeah, let's do it. All right, let's go. Let's do it. All right, let's do it. Let's go. Faith is movement. But sometimes you're moving, and if you be honest with yourself, you're scared. God, I don't know. I don't quite know what you're doing. God, you're going to have to come through in this, but you're moving, right? There's movement. Faith is not always an emotion. It's not always an emotion. Sometimes we come into worship service and it's just like, I ain't feel God today. You know what I mean? Because you didn't shout, you didn't scream, you didn't cry, you didn't have an emotional encounter, right? But that doesn't mean that nothing moved on the inside of you. Because at the end of the day, after we get done shouting, screaming, spitting, crying, what matters is when you leave outside of the four walls and you say, God, I trust you. God, I believe you. God, I have faith in you. Even though my situation right now don't look like what I'm believing you for, I still know that you're doing something because I see movement in my life. But let me mess you up again. All movement is not progress. Woo-hoo. All movement is not progress. So let me say this. Sometimes you say, I got faith in God because I'm working on something. I always got a project. I'm always doing. And you feel like as long as I'm busy, I got faith. As long as I'm busy, I'm making progress. As long as I got my hands on a bunch of things, I just stay busy. God, I know that I'm a faithful servant because I'm always serving at the church. I show up early all the time, and I'm the last person at leaving. I'm always helping out pastor. I'm always helping out first lady, and I always go to feed the poor, and I always go to clothe the sick, and I always go to do all of this, and I'm doing all of this stuff, and it's like, bet I got faith in God because I'm constantly moving. But the progress is, do you trust God? All right, let me do all this stuff. And everybody at church is looking at you like, oh my God, that's a man of God. That's a woman of God. Why? I want to be like that. I want to be like that. And then they get home and they're like, God, what are you doing? God, are you even real? Because I've been praying for this thing for years and you still ain't come through. Y'all better talk to me this morning. I shared this with the group last week. I didn't plan on sharing it, but I ended up sharing it because it just came in the context of what we were talking about. But I lost one of my best friends this past week, just a few days ago, just Wednesday. It was tough to hear the news because I'm just like, he's younger than me. Healthy guy. Perfectly healthy, everything normal. This is everybody's nephew. This is everybody's son. This is everybody's brother. He's one of those type of people that's just always interacting, always talking. Everybody's story about this guy is just like, he made me smile. He made me laugh. He made me feel like he meets no stranger. This type of guy. Those are the type of people that you're like, oh, nothing horrible ever. You know what I'm saying? Lost him this week. And then you have these thoughts. Why? God, what's up? I can see if you let that happen to somebody bad, somebody evil, somebody that was disrupting the peace. I can understand that. But somebody who's faithful, serving in ministry, somebody who's doing good. Why? You have these questions. All right, God, I know you're sovereign, but this thing don't make no sense. And you're trying to connect the dots. So here's another nugget for you. Why is it that we only question the goodness of God when bad things happen? It's really the only, God blessing you, you ain't walking around like, God, why did you bless me? Why did you do that? You know what I'm saying? You only question him when something goes wrong and you're like, all right, God, I trusted you yesterday, but this thing right here, though, this is tough, man. But we question him when bad things happen. But we understand that God is indeed sovereign, and the whole purpose of us living life is to get back to God, back to worship, back to serving him. Then you understand that even the Bible talks about that God actually pleased in the death of the righteous, because that's, and so he's excited to see them. If we believe that after we die that we'll be with God, then that's what he wants for us. But we suffer because we suffer with our feelings, with our emotions. And if you be honest with yourself, it's actually selfish. I'm not belittling mourning, all right, because we have to mourn. I'm not being insensitive because I know how tough it is, to get the news and then feel like your heart just jump out of his chest. But I have to turn around and say, all right, strap up my boots. Let me call a couple people. Hey, you all right? You good? Just checking on you, making sure you're all right. All right? I know what that feels like. But still to be able to know, okay, God, you're still good. You're still sovereign. You still know what you're doing. It doesn't make sense. You still know what you're doing. This lady had the ingredients, but didn't have the product. She had the flour, she had the oil, but she didn't have the bread. Sometimes we have the broken pieces, but we don't have the big picture. Sometimes we have the broken pieces, but we don't have the big picture. You're putting together a puzzle. One of the first things you do before you even get started putting anything together is you go to the picture. All right, the trees over here, the colors, the greenness. If you're anything like me, you put together the border. All right, let me get these edges because I know I can pull these out. Let me get the edge. Let me get the frame. Let me get the frame together first, all right? Now that I have my boundaries, my borders, right? Now that I've shaped everything off, now I can begin to piece this thing together. I'm not saying that it's impossible to put the picture together without the picture, because you can still put it together. Guess how hard that's going to be for you not to know it, and that's exactly what it feels like for us. We have all of these broken pictures, and it's just like, God, but if I just knew what you were doing, if you would just show me the big picture. But guess what? Here's the truth in the matter. If he were to show you the big picture, I wish I could throw this Bible. Some of y'all would take them puzzle pieces and just, I hope they do get lost, because I don't want that for my life. If I would have known that God was calling me to be a pastor, if he would have showed me the big picture years ago, I probably would have took that puzzle and chucked it or threw it in the garbage disposal. I don't want that. But he knew exactly when he needed to show it, because I'm just seeing the pieces. I'm just like, all right, God, I trust you. God, I love you. God, I worship you. God, I'm committing to you my life. God, I want you to do whatever you want to do in my life. But then, after you've already been faithful, been committed, God, I've been giving you pieces of my life bit by bit, then you'll see it coming together and you're just like, wait a minute. That kind of looks like, all right, wait, oh, hold up, wait, hold on, wait a minute. But at that point, you would have already invested so much in it that you feel like, okay, God, I'm here now. I'm here now. And it still hurts, but you also feel like, God, you got my heart already. Where can I go? What can I do apart from you? If you don't have me, I'm lost. Honestly, y'all, I don't see how people do it without God. I honestly, I don't know. How is it that you deal with the loss of a close friend without God? How is it that you deal with getting a bad report from the doctor? I don't get it. I don't know how they do it, because for me, I just feel like I would get the news, I would go into this deep depression, and then I would start having all of these thoughts just like, okay, I'm ready to end it. Where would I go? I've already invested my life in serving God. So once I begin to see the details come together, it hurts, but then it's just like, all right, God, you don't have to help me. If this is what you want me to do, I'm going to need your help. If this is what you have for me, then I'm going to need for you to undergird me in this. Because if it were up to me, I wouldn't have chose that. If I was the Son of God that had to come out and come down and die for y'all, I love people, man. I would give my right arm if I had to for somebody. I promise you that. And my wife knows that, my family. I would do anything. I'd take a bullet, even for a total stranger, in most cases. I love people that hard. Where like I told even y'all here at the ministry, I'm like, if y'all ever need anything, let us know. Y'all gotta call us at 3 o'clock in the morning. Y'all can do that. Like, we've given y'all that leeway to do that, just because that's how much we love people. But if God sent me down as his son to say, hey, I'm sending you to die for people that's gonna spit in your face in the process, for people that's gonna cuss you out while you're doing it, for people while you're hanging on the cross still saying, oh, look at him, he thinks he's a king. And all the time you're just like, I am, but I can't say nothing. You know what I'm saying? Y'all would still be lost. Y'all would still be looking for a king. Y'all have me up on some meme or something just like, is this your king? Like, it would be bad. It would be bad. It would be bad. So for me, it's just like, God, if I don't have you, I'm lost. So instead, let me go ahead and put my trust in what I don't all the way comprehend, but I at least know that you're faithful. I at least know that you're sovereign. I know that I'm yours. I know that you got me. And for some of us, if you don't know that already, then let's start there. All right, God, do you have me? Do you love me? Are you with me? Is this for my good? And what I do sometimes, let's not overanalyze this. What I do sometimes is just like I'm talking to you right now, I'll go to God and I say, God, do you love me? Because the last few days, it don't feel like it. How I feel like you've been treating me lately, God, I feel like you kind of just thrown me away. Right? But to go to him and ask him, all right, God, what's the truth about this? I know the facts, but what's the truth? I know what they told me. I know they told me I was ugly. I know they told me I was unlovable. I know they told me I would never amount to anything. I know they told me that you would never be successful. That might even be a fact that I'm disabled. But what's the truth about the matter? And to be able to go to God and allow him to encourage you directly. Because if you have a verdict before you get started, then it won't matter how everything looks in the middle. Because you already know the outcome, even before the opposition comes. That was a mouthful. I can't repeat it. Sorry. Let's go ahead and finish on this note, because we got a couple things to do this morning. This is what I find interesting in this passage. You can read through it on your spare time. Well, we keep reading. The miracle happens. The lady, they eat for many days, at least until the drought is over. Because once the drought is over, then they don't need it. If you go down a little bit further, she never says thank you. She never acknowledges him as a man of God. No, nothing. Until we get down to verse 24 in 1 Kings 17:24, it says, "Then the woman said to Elijah, 'Now by this I know that you are a man of God.'" This is after he raised the son from the dead. I don't have time to read through it, but you can read through it later. Her son died, and then he pretty much raised the son from the dead. And then she said, "Now I know." But she didn't recognize him as a man of God when he created the miracle with the bread, right? It took something big. And so you almost question, did she really believe that he was who he said he was at the beginning? Because she's saying, now I believe you're a man of God, now that you've done this big thing. But when you did this smaller thing, that really didn't do anything for my faith. Y'all take, just on a smaller nugget, y'all take time, man. Y'all can't ignore the small things that happen in your daily No day is wasted. I promise you that. Sometimes you feel like, oh, today was a waste. I just feel like I just went through the motions. I went to work, came home, I ate, and I went to sleep. No, there's some silver lining. There's some small details. It's some small conversations that you didn't pay attention to. It's something that you didn't notice. There's something in every single day that adds to your big picture purpose. But in that, there's small things that you can look at and say, all right, God, I see what you're doing. But it's laced in every day. Because here's the thing, I question whether or not she believed, because at the very beginning of the verse, in verse 8, where it says, then the word of the Lord came to him saying, arise, go to Zarephath. We skip down to verse 10. It says, so he arose and went to Zarephath and went, and he came to the gate of the city. Indeed, a widow was there gathering sticks, and he called to her and said, bring me water in a cup. God spoke to him and said, I need you to go, and I've prepared a widow to serve you, right, to take care of you. He gets to the gate. Now, if God speaks to me and he says, go to Charlotte, I prepared somebody to minister to you there. When I get to Charlotte, I'm going to be looking. And I'm going to be waiting for somebody to come to me and say, hey, God sent me to you. God prepared me to come minister to you, right? I wouldn't go around and just say, hey, you look like a good person. Hey, come minister to me. Come give me some water. And that's what he did. He got to the city and he saw that there was a widow lady. For one, how did he know that she was a widow? All right? I'm just giving you some things to think about. Y'all got to read. Y'all can't skip over this stuff when y'all read this stuff. Secondly, if you're the widow, what are you thinking? It doesn't say anywhere in here, God came to the widow and said, hey, there's going to be a man to come in your city. What is the widow thinking? A man walks over to you and he says, hey, can you give me some water? Sure, I guess so. And then he says, all right, well, I know that y'all about to eat bread and die, but give me bread first. Who are you? Okay. She still did it. She still did it. The miracle happens. She doesn't acknowledge him as a man of God, but then her son is raised from the dead, and then she finally says, hey, now I see that you are. I say all of that to say that you almost question whether or not she truly had faith, but it goes back to what I said. Faith is not always a feeling. Faith is not always an emotion. It's not always an encounter, but faith is movement. He said, can you give me some water? She said, sure. She went. I promise y'all that's not the easiest thing to do when God asks you to do something and just say, yeah, sure. He said, can you give me some water? Sure. Hey, while you're at it, can you give me some bread? Wait a minute. Because what you're asking me is not what I got. All right, sir, who are you again? You know what I'm saying? But like it takes us back, okay? But faith is movement, right? All right, this is all I have, except, all right, well, go and do what you're about to do. And she goes and she does it. Faith is movement. Faith is us doing something. Faith is action. It's not just what we feel. Sometimes you come into service and you're just like, all right, maybe today wasn't for me. You know, because Pastor, he ain't really preach on my exact situation. It wasn't nothing that hit my heart. You know, I didn't move. I didn't say amen today. So I just feel like, all right, I'll come back next week and maybe he'll have something for me. That's not faith, right? Faith is leaving out. All right, I don't know what Pastor was talking about today. Maybe he just had to minister to somebody else. All I know is I'm about to go home and work on this faith project. All I know is I'm about to go home and do something. I know I can't be stagnant. All right, Pastor gave all of us an assignment this week. All right, yeah, I'm going to do it because he asked. It's still movement. It's still movement. You're still doing something. And that's what I want to encourage us to do today. Like I said, God has you where he wants you, but keep moving. Never become stagnant. Never just sit there and just say, all right, well, I don't see nothing happening, so I'm going to just chill. I'm going to just coast until something happens, until God decides you want to do something. I'm going to just sit right here. Keep moving. Somebody say, keep moving, because faith is movement. Everybody can stand to their feet. And we'll get ready to pray.